Hello everyone. In this lecture 39, we will understand the concept of time constants in SAP HCM. If you create a new record for any info type such as info type 1 when a previous record already exists, then the system reacts in one of the following ways. It means there is already a previous record in info type 1 with some validity period like 1st of January 2014 to 12/31/999. Now you are again trying to create a new record. In that particular situation, the system reacts in one of the following ways. What are those ways? It either delimits, extends, splits or deletes the record. This is the way how the system reacts if you are trying to create a new record when a previous record already exists. The system reaction depends upon the time constant. So in HR there is a concept of time constant. Though the system reaction, what are the system reactions? Like if the system is delimiting the previous record, this reaction is dependent upon the time constant. Whatever the time constant you attach to an info type, the system reaction will come accordingly. So the time constant is a characteristic of info type and subtype. In HR master data, we differentiate between three different time constants. What are those? Time constant 1, 2 and 3. Besides, there are also time management related time constants which are A, B, T and Z. So let's understand the concept of HR master data time constants. When you update an info type, all data is not lost but archived for historical evaluation, because sometimes the company do not want to delete the old data and want to keep it for historical evaluation. Like if you terminate an employee, that employee could come back, he can be rehired, so company do not want to lose that data. So when you update an info type, all data is not lost but archived for historical evaluation. The system records a specific period of validity for each info type, because each info type has records, right? So each record for a particular info type has a specific period of validity. This enables the system to store more than one info type record at the same time. Now system is basically allowed to store more than one info type record for the same time. Like from 1st of January 2014 to 12/31/999, the system can store 2-3 records at the same time, even if their validity overlaps. This means that the time relationships between info type records must be defined, meaning that you need to tell the system, hey, if info type 1 is having a time constant, react in this way. If info type 41 has a time constant 2, react in this way. If info type 15 has a time constant 3, react in this way. So you are basically assigning a time constant to the info type, which is basically a characteristic of the info type. Based on the time constant, the system reacts. So let's see what is time constant 1. So HR master data uses the following three time constants. What are those? Time constant 1. Record must have no gaps, no overlapping. For the entire time that the employee works at the enterprise, exactly one valid info type record must exist. The validity periods of the individual records must not overlap. If a new record is created, the system automatically uses the start date of the new record as the delimitation date of the old record. Time constant 1 must be used for all of the info types containing information that must be available at all times. This is particularly true for PA and OM data. If a record is delimited because of time constant 1, the system will basically display an appropriate message. Let's understand what is time constant 1. It says record must have no gaps, no overlapping. For the entire time, there should be exactly one valid info type record. Meaning that, take example of info type 2. You cannot have two names in the same period. Like from 1/1/2014 to 12/31/999, like you cannot have the name John or the first name as well as a record with Adam as the first name. So basically at a particular time only one record will be valid. Okay, if your name is basically changed, then the new record is created, but at a time only one valid record is existing, not two. So that is the concept of time constant 1. So if you are having a valid record today, like from 1st of January 2014 to 12/31/999, if you are trying to create another new record, then automatically the previous record will be delimited, but at a time only one will be valid. So even if it overlaps, you're telling the system, hey, delimit the previous one. So this is time constant 1. And any info type which has a time constant 1 is a very mandatory info type, like info type actions, which is 0000, info type 1, which is 0001, info type 2, which is 002. So these are the 3 info types: actions, organizational assignment, and info type 2, which is personal data. These are the mandatory info types. So these info types always have a time constant 1, meaning that if you're trying to create a new record, automatically the previous record will be delimited. So let's see what is time constant 2. Now, before going to time constant 2, in time constant 1, the most important thing was record must have no gaps. There is no gap. Automatically, when you create a new record, previously gets delimited, but there is no gaps. But now coming to time constant 2, the concept is similar. Basically, no more than one valid record can exist at any one time. Records with time constant 2 must not overlap. They should also not overlap. Their existence is not obligatory. Means those info types which have a time constant 2, those are not mandatory. But if you are trying to create multiple records, then those should not overlap. Those records should not overlap. There can be gaps between the records, but there should not be any overlapping. So the concept is same. If you create a new record, the previous record gets automatically delimited. Example, info type 41, date specification. This info type have so many date types. So basically, if you are trying to create a new record for the same info type, so you need to make sure that it is not overlapping. If it overlaps, the system automatically delimits the previous one. So now let's see what is time constant 3. Time constant 3 means any number of valid records can exist at any one time. Means there is no such restrictions. The individual records do not conflict with each other. This is time constant 3. So basically, if you say additional payments, info type 15, same period, like I'm talking about 1st of January to 31st of January, you can pay an employee as bonus, you can pay an employee some performance related payment in the same duration. So basically, the same interval you are having multiple records, and even though they are overlapping, there is no gaps. So this is time constant 3. So the system reacts based on what time constant you have assigned to those particular info types. So this is the concept of time constant. Hope you understood. Let's see the example of info type 1. See, so this is info type 1. If you see, let me just go and delete some of this part here. So if you see, okay, no, not this one, sorry. Let me delete this record and show you what is the time constant. Okay, so now see here. This is info type 1 for this employee, organizational assignment. Let me go and display. If you see this info type, the record is valid from 1st of February till 12/31/999. So at a given particular time, like today, if I am seeing this particular record, this is the valid record, means from 1st February till 12/31/999. Now, if you are trying to create one more record, like from 1st March 2014 till 12/31/999, the system basically sees like there are 2 records which are overlapping. So it delimits the previous one. Let's see. So I am basically creating a new record with March 1st. Now, when I press enter, see what the message system is giving. It is telling record valid from the 1st February, that is the previous record start date. It's telling the record valid from 1st February 2014 to 12/31/999, it is getting delimited at end. What does it mean? Let's save this info and go to this overview, and now see there are 2 records created. Why? Because at a particular time only one record is valid, which is the latest one. If you see the previous one and go change, see, it was basically created from 1st February and it got delimited till 20th February. Why? Because we created the new record from 1st March. So based on the time constant 1 for this info type, this record automatically got delimited to 20th February. So that was the concept of time constant. So when you basically get familiar with configuration and this particular behavior of the info types, it will be more and more clear to you. Hope you enjoyed this class. Thank you.